Quick disclaimer before this episode. We had some technical difficulties while recording it and we lost some audio files. So the audio quality is not as good as it always is, but we hope you enjoy it just the same.
This podcast is not rated. Listener discretion advised.
Mission 250.
Welcome to the Mission 250 Filmcast, where we are watching every movie on the top 250 movies of all time, according to IMDb. This week, we are watching number 227, which is the 1949 movie Kind Hearts and Coronets, directed by Robert Hamer. The synopsis of this movie is, a distant poor relative of the Duke of Descoings plots to inherit the title by murdering the 8 other heirs who stand ahead of him in the line of succession. This week, it's John's turn to go first. So, John, why don't you give us your first impressions?
Sure. So, again, it's Denny here as our host and me and TC.
Yep.
We're here.
Sorry, guys. I'm a little tired this week.
Yeah, Denny's a little off his game.
Today, yeah.
Oh, great. Okay, so that's all right. It's an off show. So, so I can give my impressions. I think after sort of we've had kind of a dark patch.
And TC's dying
as far as
in the background.
Yeah. Wait, you all right there?
Yeah, I'll make it. All
right, brave soldiers.
Yeah, took the day off.
The real world has come down hard this week, guys.
Yeah. Anyways, go ahead.
Sorry, John.
I'm good.
No worries. I was out last week with the stomach stuff. So anyway, all right, so it's been kind of we've had a dark run with some really heavy movies. Battle of Algiers, and then L'En was really heavy too, and just very serious movies. So I found it was kind of nice to see the upper class get what's coming to them. After all of this, stories of rebels and whatnot, and people, wasting their lives or fighting like seemingly endless odds. So I found the movie to be really kind of fun. It's really, the interesting thing is that it seemed like a lighthearted comedy to me, and it's all about serial murder. So I think that to pulling that off, and maybe it just all boils down to Dennis Price speaking charmingly with a British accent, and that makes everything okay. Because I thought his delivery was great. I thought there were some great exchanges in there that were great. And so I just sort of enjoyed it as light entertainment. I think what's really cool about the movie pulling that off, and I don't know if that's necessarily its intention, if it's supposed to be biting dark satire or not. But for me, it was just sort of enjoyable. And I thought I wanted him to get away with it more or less, which is just really weird. Yeah, so I thought Dennis Price was great. Alec Guinness was awesome. It looked like he was having a lot of fun, and that was pretty cool to see. They did some pretty cool trick stuff to the one scene where they had all 8 of his characters, or 6, I guess, at the time, on screen at once.
I think it was 7. It was 7, right?
Was it?
Yeah.
On one? Yeah.
Because one of them was the priest, up high.
Yeah. So we can talk about that later. But I mean, they pulled off at the time, some pretty cool special effects. The actresses, like Sibylla was weird, but I think there's a strange way that women were acting back then. That we saw this in Roman Holiday too, where there's the I'm sad, so you do this fling and cry thing where you're I don't know where that comes from, but it seems like that's what it was just understood in Hollywood. That's how you cry when you're a woman in a movie. You just fling yourself. Around. Yeah, well, you fling yourself on the bed or the guy and you cry. That's how you cry.
And when you're kissing, you just make your neck go limp, and you kind of just submit.
Yeah, I noticed.
Yeah. Just go. Yeah. You
do with me what you will.
Yeah. Yes. You do I just got knocked out in the back of the head or something. Yeah. Again, this is really old, but I really just liked listening to Dennis Price mostly. I liked the dialogue and then the way he talked. And that to me made the movie just pretty darn entertaining.
Sweet. TC, you want to go next?
Sure. Yeah. I thought it was, I watched it 3 times almost.
Damn.
See,
that's about standard, isn't it? You mean 3 times all the way through, or 3 times?
Yeah. 3 times all the way through.
Wow.
Okay. First time I couldn't pay attention to it for some reason.
It's old.
I was just I was not having a good time, a easy time following what was going on at all for some reason. Second time through, I was like, okay, now I understand what the hell the story is about. And then third time through, I was like, this is pretty funny. This is like a nice, it's like, it is like John said, well, he just speaks so like eloquently all the time. It's comical.
Yeah.
You know, like no one can have such perfect speech. He has like speeches ready for everybody at all times.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And he's so quick, like with his response, like when it's awesome. It's just like he's immediately it's really funny once you start noticing it, like when they're, especially when like Sybilla's criticizing her husband, he's just
absolutely. Yeah. And some of his responses were so just like witty, right?
Yeah.
Like when they said something about like, it's that's a typical thing of lower class situation. I don't know what it was. I was paraphrasing, but I enjoyed it actually a lot. After the first time through, I didn't know if I would. I thought I was going to be a negative review, but you
liked it enough to try give it another go, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there'd be parts of it I was like, that's pretty good, and then so it would make me want to go back and figure out maybe like I just missed something that he was saying in the narration.
Yeah,
I think that happened to me quite a bit where I stopped listening to him. So I was like, wait, what is he talking about? And then instead of because you had to listen to what he was saying to follow like all this context.
Right.
Because it moved fast, especially at the beginning. It was kind of mumbly before his character came on when the hangman and the prison governor were talking, and it was all really mumbling. I was almost about ready to turn on the subtitles.
I turned on the subtitles. I had subtitles on all movie.
Yeah.
That actually probably would have helped me.
I was like, what the hell are they talking about?
Oh, yeah.
What was that?
It's like this fat bird man is like angry or about something. I don't know.
Right? Yeah. So, I mean, that's about all I got. Overall, it's just a fun watch.
Yeah, I will agree with both of you. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty funny. Besides, like, I think I got 3 minutes in before I really I was like, I haven't understood one word yet out of anybody's mouth.
The beginning scene is the hardest. I was halfway up when Lewis started talking, then I was like, oh, okay, I understand this guy at least. So yeah, it was, but it also, even then it moves fast.
Yeah, it seems like the mics they had were just like somewhere in the room and none of it was like treated for sound. So there was a lot of like high, like reverb kind of that, like airy reverb that kind of went over everything, it seemed. I don't know. And in my speakers and my TV, it just like made everything hum. The worst was when the opera singer guy started singing, and it was just like vibrating my house. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I know. It was.
Yeah, that was.
It was not great. But I mean, besides the sound, which wasn't that big of a deal really once I had the subtitles on and turned the volume almost all the way down, it was pretty funny. I think Dennis Price was the best, even though it seems like Alec Guinness got most of the credit for all this.
Sure.
And I don't know if it was his voice or the way he says things or the dialogue that he says, but I agree. I liked him. I think it reminded me a lot of like Dexter, kind of, where
or it's just somebody being really charming. Like, yeah.
And there's something fun, and there should be a term for this, or maybe it's just me, but I like movies and storylines where you're on the side of the person who is lying to everybody else, but the lies. Right. It's like fun to be in that position. So that's,
because we're privy to something that the characters aren't.
Right.
Yeah.
And like this really smart guy is like talking to us and we're like, yay, he trusts us enough to like tell us all about his murder stories. So I like that, being in that position. So that's, yeah.
He was diabolical though.
He was, but he was always so likable, even to us,
Which is even worse.
Yeah, kind of.
Right.
But the murders were so stupid in a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like
I mean, and yeah.
The balloon, the exploding caviar. I don't even understand how that one works.
Yeah, that was funny. And then shooting a bow and arrow. All of a sudden, he can shoot a bow and arrow like really far.
Yeah, and he doesn't even bend the thing far that back. He just
doesn't even go back.
That's a good point, though. The sort of farcicalness of the actual murder sort of lends this to be more of a comedy too. I mean, it's kind of like he's just
It's
so
like Roadrunner
works
or something,
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I think I forgot how I was incredulous that no one followed up on the bomb. Maybe somebody would investigate a bomb.
I bet everyone hated that guy though, right? Because he just told the same story to everybody over and over again.
Yeah, but we didn't know. I also didn't. I forgot about this too, just because I didn't really want to think about it. I think, but I'm sure that there were quite a few casualties in the restaurant.
Yeah, right. Besides just him.
Oh, at least
With
his
the
little
explode-
dinner
yeah.
guest there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, his poor dinner guest who, I'm sure. I don't think the way the movie presents itself, they don't think of it that way at all. It's just like, nah, they got him.
Well, I mean,
and
he
I don't
did-
think that they're.
He expressed remorse to the woman that was with the first Des coin that went over the waterfall. He's like, I felt bad about the lady,
You're right.
Right.
but not that bad, I
Right.
guess.
Well, no, but he said, but she'd already experienced a fate worse than death
Yeah.
because she was sleeping with. It's just-
That's a great line.
Yeah, it's a good way to
It's-
justify it to himself.
yeah, it's just funny. But I imagine I wonder what this must have been sort of scandalous back in the 40s. I don't know, but just to sort of back then I don't know how dark things got, but I wonder how if it was like a shocking sort of like a Quentin Tarantino kind of thing or something at the time.
Yeah, I
just
mean,
to kind of
what was like a relatable, like Doctor Strangelove is kind of like one of the best, examples of a dark comedy from back then. But that was like the mid 60s, and this was the late 40s. So that's like
Wow.
that's a big time
big
difference. Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, maybe even in America was maybe more not used to the kind of dark comedies. Maybe in England it wasn't as big of a deal either. And then maybe for us, because it was English and we didn't care, it didn't really seem real to us, to an American audience, because it's just a strange thing. So maybe it didn't really create that much of a stir.
Yeah, that's
It
possible.
is interesting that one of the interesting things about it is that there was the Hayes Office Production Code
What's
at
that?
the time. It's
Hayes?
HAYS in these states where there were certain things that were not approved of in the movies, and most people followed this code. One of the things was that you couldn't get away with a bad deed or a crime in a movie, crime had to be shown to pay. So like when they did a release in America, they had to show his biography being found. His autobiography being found. They had to show that he was going to be punished for the crime. And then they changed the word nigger to sailor when they did the eeny, meeny, miny, mo, which was
they?
Really?
yeah. Which I didn't know that even back then it was considered a harsh word. But
Yeah, I figured since it was in that
was-
movie that it wasn't, but I guess
Yeah, it was
so.
shocking
I
to
heard
hear
it and
that.
I was like, what? What? What?
Yeah,
What did,
it's
he say? What did he just say? What did he just
the
say?
whole line is yeah.
So is that nursery
like,
rhyme?
catch
Did that
a
used to
what?
be racist? And now it's tiger, just because they should just get rid of it altogether.
I don't. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know the origins. If the origins is racist, or it could have been something, and then it just got replaced with different things over. I don't know.
I don't
I don't
know.
know. There was never any blood or anything.
No, it wasn't gory or anything.
No, I think the most you never saw the actual violence. I think the most violent. I mean, everything was off screen. I mean, he does shoot the one guy point blank with a shotgun. You don't see it.
Yeah.
You don't see the actual shooting, but that's pretty damn violent.
Yeah.
Right there. While he's caught in a man trap.
Yeah. What is a man trap, by the way?
I just assumed it was like a bear trap, but for a man. So it like just clamps on your leg and it just prevents you from going anywhere.
Oh, that sounds
So
awful.
it's like
It sounds like it hurts.
Yeah.
It's like a jaw, like a big clamp that you stake into the ground, and it's like staked with a chain, and then it's just got a little trigger pedal that then collapses itself. And so like supposed to, I think, again, I just imagine it like a bear trap. So it just
Yeah,
closes
that's
right
what I
on you.
got too.
Yeah, that would not be fun. That would be you'd lose your leg, I think.
It would definitely cut into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
But again, I thought Dennis Price was amazingly good in this.
He was.
And it's kind of it's like a rock star performance. I don't know. And it's kind of sad because he like battled alcoholism and everything, or he didn't have a good run of it in his life. And so it's kind of sad that, I mean, he was really good. I mean, he really just did that role amazingly well. I don't think the movie would have been, if that hadn't have been played so well, the whole movie would have kind of not been nearly as entertaining, even with Alec Guinness in it.
They tried to remake this movie twice. Once in the 80s with Dustin Hoffman, and then once in the early aughts with Robin Williams.
Oh, interesting.
That could have been pretty cool.
Yeah.
I feel like this movie, despite being 65 years old, is pretty easily watchable these days. Maybe with a little better mixing on the sound, but I mean,
I wonder what the mics were like back then,
Yeah, not
Probably
great.
not great.
It makes me wonder too, because like there's old movies that I watch It's a Wonderful Life a lot, and I've seen it so many times that I wonder if I excuse the audio and if it's as bad as this one. It might just be like all old movies have hard to hear audio, but.
Well, I think this is a combo of maybe less than great audio, but then people speaking very quickly and eloquently with an accent. So I think it just makes at least the speech parts of it, the opera parts and whatnot, that's just,
yeah.
But I think that sort of like compounds the problem. That's right. I wonder if Robin Williams was thinking of playing the Alec Guinness role, because that seems his style.
Yeah, I think
Like,
both of them.
all the different.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
Dustin Hoffman too. With like the Tootsie roll and everything.
Yeah.
And Robin Williams with Mrs. Doubtfire. Maybe they're just like picking actors who have previously cross-dressed before.
Maybe so.
It's like he's not opposed to dressing in a dress. Get him.
No. Get Tyler Perry on it. He'll do it.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. I thought the costumes were really cool. They looked good.
Yeah, the wardrobe was cool looking.
Varied. His socks went like all the way up to his crotch, which was very strange.
That's good.
It may have been the style at the time. I mean, I don't know. I didn't notice any like spectacular camera work or anything like that. Again, it was very
it was a lot of still camera, wasn't it?
There was a couple cool shots. There was the one where like the photograph, what was it? The postcard fades into the actual landscape of the Discoins castle thing.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's nice.
That was cool.
That was a nice shot.
And there was the other shot where it was the exposure of the camera and it was upside down to kind of show what he was looking at. And he was like describing how it was hard to get.
Oh, yeah. I like that. Yeah, that was actually, that was great, because it made you something. You just learned something that you had no knowledge of either, or I had no knowledge that back then cameras would show you the view upside down. They hadn't corrected for that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. But yeah, besides that, it was kind of just like, well,
speaking of which was your favorite murder?
Oh, I think the one I laughed the most at was the hot air balloon one.
Yeah, the hot air balloon one was good.
I shot an arrow in the air and she fell into Berkeley Square.
Yeah, even then he still sounds well.
Yeah,
and that's it's a playoff of a poem.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What poem, John? Tell us the poem.
Tell us.
The Arrow in the Song by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. So I shot an arrow into the air. It fell to earth, I know not where. For so swiftly it flew the sight, could not follow it in its flight. It's the first. So that was a very well-known poem.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and the title of this movie is based on a poem too, which they say in the movie.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's an English poem written by Alfred Tennyson.
Tell him, don't you?
Lady Clara Vere de Vere. Verdever. I think that's how you say it. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the title of the movie, Kind Hearts and Coronets. I had to look up what a coronet was. I don't know if you guys are as stupid as I am. I didn't know what that was. Did you?
I'm going to say no.
John? No?
No. I figured it's something you wear on your head, right?
Yeah, it's like a crown that's like less big for non-kings and stuff.
Like a casual crown.
Like royal, like, rich people pretty much. So like the poem is like, kind hearts are more than coronets and simple faith than Norman blood. So the whole thing is like, if you're nice, it's better than being rich.
Right.
And I guess he gets both.
People have been saying that for years. I don't know.
But the not just being rich, but it's more about not being of noble blood or being a gentleman, which is a big deal over in England. That separation of nobility versus the commoner is like, that there's a huge like history with that stuff.
Right. Right. Like when the mother was like saying like he could go get a profession. Like,
right.
That was looked down on. Like he should be in school being a
a gentleman doesn't have a profession. A gentleman runs an estate or he gets an income, things like that.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It's really interesting.
Right.
And the mom screwed it all up for him, and she's criticizing him. What the hell is that?
Well, it's sort of like you can think of it as like almost, or you have peasants and the kings or whatever, and the peasants are sort of like disposable in comparison.
Yeah.
So you kind of have this long history, where like if wars were fought or whatever, then it was usually the peasants who suffered, and for the nobles, it was
course.
more of a bit of a game.
It's like chess with real people.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but so anyway, I think that I think in that context it's kind of interesting too that you see this sort of like, and it doesn't really necessarily he wants to be a nobleman. He just got cheated out of it as far as he's concerned.
Yeah.
Right.
So and he considers himself rightfully of noble blood because he is, but his mom just ran off with the opera guy.
Right, but I mean, even though he is royal blood, he's like the youngest, isn't he? So no matter what, he's still 8th in line. So
right.
why would they not give him his birthright because he didn't have any anyway?
Well, because they were, his mother did not behave like a gentlewoman should, and ran off, and so now they are, they're exiled, and there's no, a gentleman doesn't associate with riffraff like you, and so forth. So.
Yeah. Well, I think the main thing was they wouldn't let her in the what do you call it? The giant grave where they bury all the family members in.
Right. The tomb or the mausoleum.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that was like the last straw for him. I also thought it was pretty funny how like the idea of murdering everybody was like the visualization was a tiny seed in his brain. It's like I started imagining it until, he pretty much planned it all out in his head and just went on and did all these weird. So yeah, speaking of murders, what about you guys? What were your favorite murders? If you can say it.
I don't know about the murder, but I liked one where I just liked the captain going down with the ship. How funny was that shot? Where he's just saluting and the water just goes over his head. That was my favorite one.
Alec Guinness reportedly almost drowned in that scene. Like they had wires holding him under and they forgot about him.
What? How?
So according to IMDb, this is one of the trivias that was in there that he had these wires that sort of held him, like planted him, and then one of the stage people or production people remembered that he was there and dashed in there to cut the wires.
Dude, everyone should be fired from that. Are you serious?
And fortunately, Alec Guinness was very proud of how long he could hold his breath.
Oh my God.
That's insane. How could you ever make that mistake?
I don't know.
Everyone
That's
go
like
home.
your one job.
Yeah. And who knows? I just see that as just a little paragraph on the IMDb trivia. So who knows the actual.
Someone made that up. Everyone in this movie's dead. So
yeah,
you can make up whatever you want.
That's true. Although Alec Guinness sounds like a stud.
Yeah. I had no idea that was Obi-Wan Kenobi watching this movie.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
I didn't know that either, but I also haven't seen it. So
we're gonna see him in a number of movies.
Oh, right.
Before you get to Star Wars. Yeah.
I just read that. I read that when I was going through some of the reviews.
Yeah.
And I was
I would know who that was, I think, if I saw Star Wars.
So if I saw Star Wars.
Yeah. But also in the movie, it was really hard to tell who he was because I thought the makeup was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, I actually had to question it. There were several times like, is that really still him? Because they did a fabulous job, I thought. And he did a fabulous job of changing his speech and walk and sort of his posture and everything. I thought that he really tried. It seemed like he really tried hard to make each one sort of unique.
Right, but they all had the same kind of air about them, like the little droopy mouth, like pursed lips face.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
The air of nobility.
Yeah, subtle enough.
But yeah, there's always the scuttlebutt that Alec Guinness hated in a way or resented that he is an insanely accomplished, talented, gifted actor, and all he was ever going to be known for is Obi-Wan.
Right.
So, but the thing is, he is awesome in Star Wars. We'll get to that in years from now. But he's also amazing in it. I think he's, it's part of why the movie succeeds.
And also, the character of Obi-Wan is just one of the most likable people. So it's like,
right.
It just sticks out. What about you, John? Are we doing favorite parts or favorite deaths?
Well, I think I really, the favorite death sort of was the cameraman guy who exploded, and he's sitting there having tea with his wife, and
smoke starts coming up.
The smoke is coming back there, and he's just like, just kind of watching it.
He's like, this. I'm gonna have to tell her at some point, but for now, I'm gonna keep drinking this tea.
Yeah, I'm enjoying my tea here.
I'm gonna keep drinking this tea.
She's like, what was that? And he's like, oh, something.
They're like burning leaves over there. And she's like, they shouldn't be doing that. Oh, crap. My husband is dead.
Yeah, so I thought that scene was just kind of funny.
What happens in there exactly? He switched paraffin for something else? I didn't understand the chemicals and what so it was like, did he switch the darkroom liquid out for explosives or did he switch the alcohol out for explosives?
He switched. See, that was what was confusing, I thought, because I thought he was going to be poisoned because that seemed to make the most sense.
Right.
Because he had put.
Because they already talked that whole alcohol thing like as a backstory.
Right. He was hiding alcohol in the developer jars, but maybe as part of developing film, at some point you hold a flame up to it, maybe to like one of the. Or maybe you have fire in there as part of as part of the process. That's all I was.
Maybe
at all. We don't know.
Do not listen to us. We are stupid at this.
Yeah, I have no idea. But
maybe you light the picture on fire. Maybe.
No, but
I think you light everything on fire.
He replaced one of the chemicals with something that was very flammable, and then there was an explosion.
Boom.
That's all we know. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a little confusing.
It was.
Yeah, it's an old movie, so the continuity stuff and the obvious like why is that happening thing is it's easy to excuse him. Like the very was it the first one when he unties the lovers in the boat and they don't notice they're going down the water.
How did they not notice that? I
you
didn't
see their
that.
heads getting hit with like the tree's branches as they're starting to move.
Right,
they're so relaxed.
Yeah,
but I think that's what part. I mean, that's what makes this movie. It makes it so it's fun. It's not taking itself very seriously at all, and so it doesn't. It's more of a real comedy in that sense, right? So you're not. It makes the murders themselves somewhat unbelievable, which is great in a way because then you're not bothered by them, But
then it also does the thing where it doesn't play them up with like cartoony noises. It does like they go over the edge and you just see his smiling face and you're like, ooh, that's a little sinister.
Yeah, you're right. So it's sort of what it does it kind of like walks that line then, I guess. I'm not trying to be like jokey, trying to make this dark, but then also not trying to make it, making it so that you can still kind of side with your protagonist, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. I thought again that was a very. I mean, when you put it like that, Denny, it's neat to think about how this movie was kind of walking a line all the way through. In terms of they want. I assume they want you to like this guy.
Yes.
They want you to like Louis. So that's kind of the whole setup in a way, and sort of the trick of the movie in a way is that he's going to kill all these people, and you're going to want him to get away with it. And he's and I mean, what was more the points where you might even start to dislike him is just how callous he was towards even like his relationships with women and stuff like that. That sort of was like even darker in some ways. That maybe that's just because it wasn't sugar-coated or comical in any way. But he just didn't care, and it was all very like calculated.
So
it made for. Oh, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say that the one part that I mean, again, this didn't matter for my enjoyment in the movie, but he seems so calculated and thoughtful that when he's waiting in prison and leaves his memoirs behind, that didn't make any sense for his character whatsoever because he had two options. He was kind of banking on not dying, right? So he was writing the memoirs. But in the back of his head, he must have also been thinking, I'm probably going to get out of here. So I have to remember to take these with me. Like, I'm writing down a confession. If I get out, I have to take him. Like it would have never not passed through his mind. You know what I mean? And he's a pretty careful guy. So
I can't remember. Was he already well into writing the memoirs when he met with her or no?
There was no connection of the timeline there.
Okay.
So I thought watching it that the time he talked to what's her name, Sabella, whatever her name was, Sabella, was the day before his execution. Is that a good assumption?
Okay.
I don't know, but when in the very beginning when the general kind of comes in and talks to him, is like, "Do you want anything else?" And he's like, "No, I'm good." And he leaves. He like flips over a whole stack of paper that he's already been writing, starts reading it, and then he kind of. You don't know where it transitions and when he just kind of like ends it at one point. So it's kind of hard to tell when exactly he started writing. But
I agree too. That did seem no. I agree. That didn't seem in sync with his character. It's just more to create that situation, right?
Yeah.
I thought they didn't really play it up in the sense of it was almost funny to see him come out of there and see these two women scowling at him almost, or not scowling, but just sort of expecting him there. And he's like, oh God. He has to like go with one or the other, and he's.
How are they not fighting with each other? That was a confusing part too. They let them both pull up, and he's like, "He can choose," and you're like, he better choose Sabella because if he doesn't, he's going to get murdered or something.
Yeah, because she seems pretty crazy in her own right.
She's definitely crazy.
Yeah.
she spoke so strangely in that movie.
She did. It's creepy.
I don't know what that accent is or what
It's
style
acting.
of speaking.
1940s
that is.
acting accent.
It might be 1940s woman acting accent,
Yeah.
along with the fling and the cry. You have to speak a certain way.
They have maybe.
It was strange.
All the S's were really harsh. They all like did like that weird old
The whistle.
yeah, like the beaver from Lady and the Tramp whistle, whatever you call that, or like the old redneck in a western with like the spit bucket.
Yeah.
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 But we're going to see a lot of Alec Guinness. So it's kind of a good, we're seeing
That's
him,
kinda cool.
I guess, earlier. Oh, yeah. He's in Lawrence of Arabia, Bridge on the River Kwai, Bridge over the River Kwai. And of course, all the Star Warses.
Nice.
Well, the main one
Wow.
being the first. But yeah, he's
Something else.
He's amazing. His voice is amazing. That's what the other thing that makes Obi-Wan Kenobi so memorable, I think. And you'll get to hear his voice in a lot more, like him speaking more like in a relaxed fashion in Lawrence of Arabia too.
Is
but
he
yeah,
the
he's-
main guy
he's-
in Lawrence of Arabia?
No. He's Prince Faisal. He's one of the main sort of Arabs in the movie.
Faisal.
He's like, Prince Faisal.
Prince Faisal.
So anyway, yeah, it'll be fun to kind of see. We'll see him. I wonder. We'll have to figure out at some point. We've got the list of the most directors and so forth, but we should also like check up on the
Actors.
most frequent actors and actresses.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
That would be good because that's got to be a lot. 6. It's got to be up there.
Yeah. He's got to be
he's
one of the
gonna-
higher ones, I would think.
Yeah. So TC, your favorite one was the guy going down on the boats, but what did
I
you
think it was going down the boat. Yeah, that was
pretty
laughing.
funny.
what did
I
you
was
think
cackling.
about the boats themselves?
What was that? I mean, they were just like little.
They were like little
figurines
toy
in a
boats.
Tub.
Yeah.
Toy
Yeah.
boats.
They were probably like 5 inches long.
It's fun. Yeah. Again, in the context of the movie, it's fun. It's almost, and I also think it's like, I love the setup of that one too, where they're like, he just so eloquently describes how the shipmate didn't know the difference between port and starboard.
Port
I
and
think.
starboard. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So it was just pretty.
So
fun.
that's what that was. That was just a mix up on that one dude's part.
I thought so. Yeah.
I thought it was because he was like looking dead ahead without, he was so confident in himself that he wouldn't look, and there was a boat to his left, so he didn't know the boat was there.
Oh,
and the guy was
I
just-
think it was.
Oh, because I was confused.
Because the
as to
guy was
why
kind of
that
looking to the left and being like, "Are you sure you mean over there?"
No,
and then he just looked straight ahead.
Yeah. Well, maybe he actually confused it, but I think he said, I cannot at all remember the exact words, but he eloquently expressed this sort of confusion in nautical terms.
Yeah.
So he was just said that a tragedy happened in relationship to confusing some common nautical terms, and then you hear the captain going hard to port or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind then.
Yeah.
I have a note here that says "Drunk Lionel, hardest to hear yet."
Oh yeah, when he's at the end there when he
Yeah.
was talking to him. Yeah, he's I was told pals. What?
Yeah. You're like, "Excuse
I
me."
was told pal. What? Yeah.
Yeah. That was
The drunks really sound that bad? I guess they really do. Huh?
back in the day. They used to overdo drunk people all the time back in old movies.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. If you're slurring that much, you're not standing up.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
true. You're not seeing that. You're not like moving.
Yeah.
you know,
You're not making coherent sentences.
right.
At least in my experience. I don't know. Maybe as you age, you can like keep one part and lose the other part. Let's find out.
Yeah. That's an
Did you guys
interesting point,
notice
yeah.
that one shot where the lady was looking, definitely reading off cue cards or something?
No. When was that?
No.
So it was back more towards the beginning, I think. Let me see if I can scrub over it. But she's like staring at him, saying he's like, she's definitely looking past him. She's like looking to the right of him, and then she'll make eye contact again and deliver like the last 2 lines. And then when she needs to like go back to reciting something, you'll see her eyes go back to the right, and then she'll like say almost all the lines, and right before the end line, go back to his eye line.
Was this Sibylla?
It might have been, it might have been her. Honestly, I didn't do too well with the character names. I don't know.
They're all Des Coins.
The blonde.
Yeah,
No, the one that wasn't a desk coin. This
No, I
one
don't
was
think it was
his childhood friend, who was the other sort of sinister character. So Valerie, Edith was his wife then too, that Louis married. So
Right.
that was the other main woman.
Yeah, it would have been Edith. Yeah, it was when Edith was talking to him.
Huh. Interesting. I didn't notice that. I watched this movie on my TV though, so that's kind of far away. So the eyes,
Oh,
it was
maybe.
like everything was so brightly lit and like whitewashed that I like the detail was kind of gone from at least my eyes.
Where do you normally watch your movies?
I usually watch like a Blu-ray, where it's like high def and I can see everything. But this was like I streamed it and it's old,
Okay.
so
Yeah, and it's old.
yeah. Usually I try to pay attention to details. This one just didn't have any, so I kind of didn't didn't bother to like focus too much on the.
Yeah, once you figured out that they weren't you weren't supposed to be watching it for shots or anything like that. You were just supposed to be watching like the stuff in the scene. Yeah, I stopped paying attention to that too.
Yeah. I had one of my favorite lines of the movie was when I think he became Duke and right before he was like wooing the only other guy left, the actual Duke, and they go into his house and he has all the axes and stuff. And he said something like, they seemed, however, ill-equipped to deal with the requirements of 20th century homicide. So
yeah, I think just the dialogue in this, or just his narration, is so awesome, and so you just miss it if you're not paying attention because it's just so. I don't know. It's just wonderful. Like just that line alone, like is just.
Yeah, he hides them without they don't focus on the funny parts. He just kind of like throws them away, and it's pretty good. Do you guys know what a cad is?
Cad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, you cad.
It's just a term for just not a nice person. I don't know.
So it's just a general insult.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A man who so I pulled it up here from
Learning as we go.
Man who behaves dishonorably, especially towards a woman.
Ooh, that sounds like nothing's worse than that in old timey England.
Yeah, I know. Huh?
Yeah. So I have a little bit on this one. So I'm going to say that there is a commentary track that exists for this, but it's on DVD and it's only in the UK version of this movie. So I couldn't listen to it. But I think the one cool thing I found out about this movie, it was made by Ealing Studios, Ealing. I never heard of them before, but they are the oldest still running movie studio in the world. They started in 1904.
Damn.
And we've seen a movie that was made, part of it at least was made in the studio, The Imitation Game. They filmed some of it there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they have this, if you go look it up, it has a long history. It's pretty cool. And they're still going now. They produced TC's favorite show, Downton Abbey, in there. They film a lot of all the indoor scenes in Downton Abbey are filmed in this studio.
Oh wow!
So I mean, it's pretty cool.
Right?
Yeah. But that's pretty much all I had in terms of like history. For this
All
movie.
right.
All right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So what do you guys think? Is this going to be the shortest one yet? I have barely.
I mean, it might
else.
be.
Yeah.
It's fine.
There wasn't much to it.
There wasn't.
Everybody's been under the weather too, and it's very, it was straight. So Denny, you don't have your usual laundry list. That's okay.
I don't, unfortunately.
No,
so you guys
it's
can
all
listen to
right.
me jabber for a while. Yeah. So let's do.
Like I said, it's okay.
It's okay. So
anyway.
top 250. John, what do you think?
I think it's possible. It's hard to say. It was so like unassuming in a way, but the more I think about it, and just in terms of the dialogue and the writing of it, that I think I would put it in there.
Yeah. TC, what do you think?
Let's see.
I mean, 3 times viewing. What you think? Come on.
It made it into
You're the expert
made
here.
in the 40s, so there's not too many other movies I don't think that I could put from that time period into the top 250.
That's the hardest part.
So
right?
yeah, I guess think about the idea of a comedy that's not just like slapstick or something holding up so well for so many years.
Right. I'm gonna go with yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's again, hardest one because it's really, really good and it's really old. So that must say something, but I don't think it's as good as the other movies on this list. You know what I mean? It has a lot of points because of its age and probably
that's right.
what it did for the time in terms of being so like dark and focused on death and like, I don't know, all that stuff.
Right.
I'm going to go no. Not that it matters.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I know.
Yeah, right.
And I think it's right. I think like a lot of the movies that we're seeing are like heavy, and I think that's why I'm just sort of like I was really enjoying this one because this, even though it's kind of biting and maybe there's some satire in it, but really it's more just very entertaining and well done and well written.
Yeah.
Yes.
But also we didn't review the shot where like they have all of Alec Guinness's characters in the scene.
Oh, right.
At the same time, they like took 2 days to do that. I guess mostly because of he had to switch into makeup, but they did it like it was about film exposure where they would like have a black screen in each place where he wasn't. Oh. And then they would put him there and then reshoot it over the film so that it would re-expose so that they'd put him there. But like he's in there and all. I thought it was just like stand-ins or something because it seemed ridiculous way back then to try to get that to happen.
You can't even really see him in the far shot, you know?
Yeah, it's a really quick shot. Yeah, but it's kind of impressive that they did it at all.
So what do they do? Do they cut out the sections where the black squares were in the film and just kind of, how would they do that? Because they have like just the film, right? How would that work?
But it's about exposure, like so that part of the film didn't get exposed. I don't know. I'm making things up right now.
So they'd expose the same piece of film over and over again.
Yes,
just different sections of it.
So if you screwed up that piece of film over the 2-day shoot, you'd have to start all over again.
All over again, yeah.
Oh, that's scary. People were probably pretty good at manipulating film back then, though, I would imagine.
Yeah. I think so.
That was the way you did everything, right? Editing and everything. It was all physical. You were cutting it up. You're pasting it together.
Non-destructive, or like just destructive.
Destructive.
You can't.
And it was.
Fix it.
It was
we take it for granted now with all our like non-linear.
I don't,
editing.
dude. Undo button saves my life every single day. Every day of my life.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. However, I will say when you work destructively, you make better choices and you stick with them. So
not necessarily better though, right? Not all the time.
Well, I think so because you make choices based on what you know and you're going to be right.
But what if you don't know
stick
very
with
much?
It? Well, then there you go.
What if you suck?
What if you're just Denny?
Yeah. What if you're me?
Yeah. But it's hard as hell. I don't fucking do it that often either. So
yeah. So also, what is this movie rated? Is it rated anything?
Oh, I don't know.
I couldn't find a rating.
I don't think I think that again, that's why you had more of this kind of film standards kind of thing.
Did they not rate? Like, when do they start rating movies? That'll be interesting. We should probably.
That's a good question.
Yeah, because this one doesn't have any rating whatsoever. I think I would show I'd show a kid this. I'm going to have the worst record of showing kids inappropriate movies.
I would feel like the kid wouldn't quite get it.
You don't think so?
You know?
Right. I would just worry. I would just worry that. Yeah, I would just worry that the kid would then like just repeat things in class or whatever.
Like what though? What would kill anybody that you could repeat? Like untying a boat? They wouldn't be able to do that. Shooting a bow and arrow wouldn't be able to do that.
But no, it would be more just like repeating like words that he says. Like, it's a terrible shame that I had to murder that person. Or whatever.
Excuse me, Johnny? Johnny, what did you say?
What? Yeah, murder. It's too bad. I regret such things.
I don't know. He'd be such a well-spoken little chap, though, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
they'd be like, "Oh, he's so charming."
Yeah.
Wow, he did say that really well, but he's talking about murder.
But I don't care. So his voice is so smooth.
Right. So the MPAA didn't start until like 1968.
Whoa!
And it was voluntary then.
So there was no.
What was around then? Like, wasn't Midnight Cowboy and like Clockwork Orange right around then too?
Oh, Clockwork Orange.
Because Midnight Cowboy was X back when that came out.
Right.
And that was in the 60s, I think. Wait, it started in 68? Then how was that rated X? Oh, 69 when it came out. Sorry.
So
there you go.
Shnikes.
Like the first one.
It was the first one. Weird. Well, that's kind of cool, I guess. So everything before then was just kind of don't put anything bad in it or we won't release it type of deal.
Right. There were still some kinds of like voluntary standards, it seemed like people tried to adhere to.
Yeah, but I would say this movie would probably be rated like PG.
Yeah,
if I were to guess.
There wasn't anything. The language was tame, and there wasn't anything violent.
Yeah,
just the idea. It was more mental, like
still
violence.
Have to go with probably PG because there was so much.
Yeah, because it is dealing with murder.
Yeah,
serial killing. Yeah,
yeah.
So sort of like starting from there. Yeah,
you don't want to show a 3-year-old it probably.
I mean, give or take 2 years.
Yeah, 5's probably fine. So do you guys have any more thoughts on this movie?
Not really.
No? John?
For watching it 3 times, I thought I'd have more, but
yeah, I mean, it's
not feeling very well, so
yeah,
I got nothing.
Shitty. Yeah, me too. And this movie doesn't have very much on it, so that's good. It's good.
Right.
But next week, guys, do you know what movie we have next?
No, what is it?
Jaws.
Ooh.
Really?
1975. Steven Spielberg
that'll
movie.
be a fun one.
Really, Sean, are you surprised because it's so high up the list?
Yeah, I've never seen it.
No, you're kidding.
Oh.
I'm pulling at TC. No,
okay.
I am. Of course I've seen it.
Oh.
All right, TC, have you seen it?
Oh, of course. Well, yeah. I mean, why would I see Star Wars when you can see Jaws? I mean, yeah.
Well, that's the question.
I've been
If
on
you
the
haven't
ride at
seen Star Wars-
Universal. I love Jaws.
Oh,
That
nice.
was great. Plus, it's a Cape.
Yeah, dude. It's the
Right?
Cape.
That's true. Yeah.
It's filmed in the Cape, but like on Martha's Vineyard, right? It's supposed to be on Martha's Vineyard.
No, Mathis Vineyard.
Mathis.
Copy.
Yeah.
Mathis.
So this will be
I
great.
don't remember.
Vineyard. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Our break. Well, this movie is also about death. God damn it! But at least it's got, I don't know. This one had comedy in it too. Who knows? All movies have death in them. Who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, this one's just going to have violent, scary death in it,
Blood.
supposedly. But it makes sense that Jaws is from Boston. I think he was from Boston.
The shark itself.
Shark.
Yeah.
He was a Pats fan. You think?
He was a Gloucester. He was a Gloucester Shark. He's been around the block,
Or New England shark,
He
but
used to sing, he used
shark.
to swim down he's a shark. Shark.
So
Yeah.
if you enjoyed it, rate and subscribe on iTunes. Go to mission250filmcast.com to follow our list. Email us at mission250filmcast@gmail.com for any questions or join us along or all that good stuff. And that's it for this one. Tune in next week for Jaws, guys. It's going to be a good one. It's a lot of stuff on Jaws. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Bye, guys. Till next week.
Later.
Later.